On the morning of December 1st, 1948, a man was found dead on Somerton Beach in South Australia. He was positioned against a concrete seawall, sitting upright, with his legs extended in front of him. His head rested slightly to the side, and his arms were relaxed. At first glance, nothing appeared immediately wrong. There were no visible injuries, no blood, no signs of a physical struggle. His appearance did not suggest urgency or distress. To several early witnesses, he looked as though he were asleep. The discovery itself was not sudden. Multiple people later reported seeing the man the previous evening. He had been lying in roughly the same position hours earlier. Some witnesses remembered him sometime after sunset, others closer to midnight. No one recalled seeing him move. No one recalled hearing him speak. Despite this, no one approached him. In 1948, it was not uncommon to see people resting near public beaches, especially late at night, especially after drinking. The assumption was simple, and it went unchallenged. By early morning, the beach began to fill with walkers. The man was still there, his position unchanged, his posture identical to the night before. At this point, someone finally contacted authorities. Police arrived shortly afterward. They examined the man and confirmed he was dead. Based on body temperature and rigor, the estimated time of death was placed during the night, a narrow window, with no confirmed witnesses. From the very beginning, the case presented a problem. No one could say when the man arrived or how long he had been there. No one reported seeing him collapse or struggle. There was no sign of disturbance in the sand. No footprints suggested a confrontation. The scene appeared static, as if the moment of death had left no trace. The man was transported for further examination. Only then did police begin to note additional irregularities. He was well dressed, not overdressed, but dressed deliberately. He wore a suit jacket, a collared shirt, and a tie. His trousers were pressed, and his shoes were polished. This was not typical beach attire. Even for 1948, Somerton Beach was informal, especially at night. The contrast was noted, but not yet explained. A search of his pockets followed. What was found was minimal: a used bus ticket from the city to the coast, a second ticket, and used, with no destination marked, a packet of cigarettes, of an uncommon brand, a box of matches, nothing else. There was no wallet, no identification, no keys, and no personal papers. This absence was not treated as coincidence. Police had seen accidental losses before. This did not resemble one. Nothing suggested theft or robbery. The man's clothing was intact and of good quality. If valuables had been taken, they were removed carefully, or they had never been there at all. As the body was examined further, another detail became apparent. Every label had been removed from his clothing. Not torn, not frayed. They had been cut cleanly, with precision. From the jacket, the shirt, the trousers, even from items where labels were rarely removed. This was unusual and immediately suspicious. Removing labels required time and intention. It suggested preparation rather than impulse. At this stage, police still did not know who the man was, but they were increasingly certain of one thing: whoever he was, he had taken steps to avoid identification, or someone else had done it for him. The body was sent for autopsy. Doctors expected routine findings. Instead, they encountered uncertainty. There were no external injuries, no broken bones, no bruising, no signs of trauma. Internally, some organs showed congestion. This pattern was consistent with poisoning, but not specific to any known substance. Toxicology tests were conducted within the limits of 1948 science. No poison was identified. No alcohol was found. No common toxins were detected. The results were inconclusive. The official cause of death was recorded as unknown. This classification was rare, and it immediately complicated the investigation. By the end of the first day, police faced several unanswered questions. How did the man arrive at the beach? And from where? Why was he dressed the way he was? Why was there no identification and no traceable clothing? And most importantly, how had he died without leaving evidence behind? The man was temporarily identified only by location. Somerton Beach. He had no name, no history, and no explanation. At the time, no one knew this would become one of the most examined, unidentified cases in modern history. For now, it was simply an unresolved death. Following the initial examination, police focused on the man's clothing in greater detail. At first, it appeared unremarkable. A standard suit, well-tailored, appropriate for travel or business. But closer inspection revealed inconsistencies. The suit jacket was of good quality. The stitching suggested professional manufacture. The shirt was pressed and showed no signs of long-term wear. The trousers matched the jacket, indicating they were purchased as a set. Nothing appeared secondhand. Nothing appeared borrowed. Yet none of it could be traced. Every manufacturer's label had been removed. This included interior tags, size labels, and care instructions. The cuts were clean, made with a sharp blade. There was no damage to the surrounding fabric. This was not accidental removal. It was deliberate and methodical. Investigators considered common explanations. Some people removed labels for comfort. Others did so for vanity, or to conceal the cost of clothing. But these explanations failed to account for the scope. Every label, from every garment, had been removed, including items where labels were rarely noticed. This suggested preparation, not habit. Police consulted local retailers. No store recognized the design. No tailor claimed responsibility for alterations. The fabric did not match common domestic suppliers. It also did not clearly match imported stock. The clothing existed, but had no origin. Attention returned to the personal items found on the body. The cigarette packet was of a rare brand. The cigarettes inside were of a different brand. This mismatch was noted. At the time, it suggested substitution, possibly intentional, possibly irrelevant. The bus ticket indicated travel from the city to the coast. The unused ticket suggested an intended return, but no destination was written, and no transport records led to a name. The absence of keys raised further questions. No house keys, no luggage keys, no workplace keys. If the man had arrived by himself, his access to shelter was unclear. If he had met someone, there was no record of the meeting. The autopsy report was reviewed again. Doctors noted congestion in several organs. This was consistent with poisoning, but the lack of detectable substances complicated interpretation. In 1948, toxicology testing was limited. Many synthetic poisons could not be identified reliably. Some compounds left no trace after death. This possibility was acknowledged. but could not be confirmed. The stomach contents were examined. No unusual food was found. No foreign material was detected. Digestion suggested death occurred several hours after the last meal. Where that meal took place was unknown. There were no needle marks, no evidence of injection, no sign of forced ingestion. If poison had been involved, it was administered without obvious violence. This narrowed the possibilities, but did not clarify them. Police were left with a growing list of unknowns. No name, no address, no place of employment, no known associates, and no clear cause of death. The clothing suggested intention. The lack of injury suggested restraint, and the scene suggested planning, or coincidence on an unlikely scale. At this stage, the investigation expanded outward. Police began contacting interstate authorities. Photographs were distributed nationally. Descriptions were circulated to ports, rail stations, and hospitals. No match was found. No family came forward. No employer reported a missing worker. No friend reported a disappearance. The man remained unidentified. With no leads, the body was prepared for burial. A simple grave was arranged. A marker recorded only the date and the location where he was found. No name was listed. Even then, investigators were reluctant to close the file. Too many elements felt deliberate. Too many details resisted explanation. The case was unresolved, but not forgotten. Several weeks later, a small detail would resurface, one that had been overlooked, and then rediscovered. It was hidden, quite literally, in the man's clothing. Several weeks after the initial investigation, police discovered a small fragment of paper, hidden inside a fob pocket of the man's trousers. The paper was rolled tightly, concealed carefully, and contained only 2 printed words. Tamam Shud. The phrase was unfamiliar to most, but investigators traced it to Persian poetry. It appeared in a rare edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The translation was simple: "It is finished," or "the end." The discovery prompted a renewed search. Police attempted to locate the original book from which the fragment had been torn. After weeks of inquiries, a man came forward, reporting he had found a copy of the Rubaiyat in the back seat of his unlocked car. The book was of the same rare edition. The final page had been torn out, and the torn edge matched the fragment exactly. The discovery confirmed the paper came from a legitimate source, but the meaning remained uncertain. Inside the book, police found a series of handwritten letters. The letters did not form recognizable words. They appeared structured, but meaningless to most readers. Experts were called: cryptographers, linguists, intelligence analysts. No one could definitively decipher the code. Some specialists proposed that it was a cipher. Others suggested shorthand, or a private code known only to the man and a correspondent. Some considered it meaningless, possibly random characters. The exact intent remained unknown and became a central mystery of the case. Alongside the coded message, a phone number was discovered. The number was traced to a woman who lived only a few hundred meters from Somerton Beach. Police questioned her, but she claimed no knowledge of the man or any connection to him. She acknowledged having once owned a copy of the Rubaiyat, which she said she had given away years before. When shown a plaster cast of the man's face, witnesses later noted that she appeared unsettled and avoided eye contact. She provided no further explanation, and the police did not press her. No official connection was ever established. but the detail remained unexplained. The phone number, the book, and the code formed a triangle of uncertainty, linking the man to someone nearby, without confirming any relationship. Each element suggested planning, or at least careful concealment. Investigators also examined the physical condition of the man. His calves were unusually well developed, indicative of consistent activity, possibly dancing, or a physically demanding occupation. This detail added to speculation that he may have been trained in a particular skill or involved in intelligence work. The timing of the death coincided with the early Cold War years. Adelaide hosted military research facilities, sensitive projects, and restricted areas. Although there was no direct evidence, the coincidence prompted theories of espionage. Some proposed that he could have been a courier, or a spy, or someone involved in secret operations. No government agency claimed him, and no files were ever released. The mystery persisted, intact and unresolved. Even the methods of potential poisoning remained speculative. No traceable substance had been found, no injection marks, no sign of forced ingestion. If the death was deliberate, it had been executed in a subtle manner, leaving minimal forensic evidence. The absence of clear cause of death and absence of identity left authorities with little to act upon. At this stage, the Somerton Man had a name only given by location and a body of physical clues, but no narrative to explain either his life or death. Each new discovery, fragment of paper, or coded line added more questions than answers. The public and investigators alike were left with a sense of ambiguity that no amount of reporting could resolve. Decades passed after the discovery of the code and the book, but the man remained unidentified. The body lay buried under a temporary marker, in a grave recorded only by date and location, with no name and no personal history. Despite ongoing interest, the case remained cold and unsolved. Advances in forensic science during the 21st century changed this situation. Genealogical DNA analysis became possible and offered a method to trace ancestry, even from minimal samples. In 2022, researchers announced a breakthrough. The Somerton Man had been identified. His name was Carl Webb, also known as Charles Webb. He was born in Australia and had worked as an electrical engineer. For most of his adult life, he had living relatives, but had disappeared from public records decades earlier. This discovery resolved one question, but created several others. Why had he removed labels from his clothing if he wanted to disappear quietly or avoid identification? Why carry a coded message in a rare edition of a book? Why was the book left in a car nearby with a torn page? Each answer raised further uncertainties. Investigators reviewed his known history. Carl Webb had no record of criminal activity, no history of espionage, and no known association with intelligence agencies. Yet certain details suggested otherwise. The precision of clothing preparation, the selection of a rare literary work, the concealment of information, all indicated deliberation and planning. The cause of death remained unresolved. Toxicology could not identify any substance. No physical trauma was present. No signs of forced ingestion or injection. This left investigators and historians with only speculation. Was it suicide, or a deliberate killing, or an accident cleverly disguised? No evidence confirmed any single theory. Even his relatives could not provide answers. He had left no letters, no documents, no explanation. His disappearance from public life remained a mystery. His death, an enigma. Each new fact about Carl Webb prompted additional questions, and none provided closure. The physical clues, the coded message, and the book all remained puzzling. The case demonstrates that identity does not equal explanation. Having a name does not resolve actions or reveal intentions. And the Somerton Man continues to challenge understanding. Investigators and researchers alike continue to discuss the case. Books have been written, documentaries produced, and online forums debate endlessly. Yet the essential questions remain unanswered. Why did Carl Webb take steps to hide his identity? Why leave a coded message in a rare book? Why end his life or encounter death in such a manner? Each unanswered question adds to the intrigue and ensures the case remains a focal point for study. Even after identification, the Somerton Man remains an unsolved mystery, not for lack of effort, but because some mysteries do not resolve neatly. The facts are present, but the meaning is not. This is what makes the Somerton Man exceptional and enduring. Carl Webb now has a name, but a name does not provide understanding. Identity alone does not explain his actions or the circumstances of his death. The torn page in the Rubaiyat, the coded message, the carefully prepared clothing, all remain enigmatic and unexplained. The cause of death remains officially unknown. No toxin, no trauma, no conclusive evidence. Theories have been proposed, but none can be confirmed. Espionage, suicide, accidental death, all remain possibilities, and all remain unproven. Every new piece of information seems only to deepen the mystery. Why remove labels from clothing? Why carry a coded message? Why disappear from known life? The answers continue to evade explanation. Researchers, investigators, and enthusiasts continue to study the case. Books revisit the story. Documentaries analyze details. Online forums debate theories. Yet the fundamental questions remain, and likely will continue to do so. The Somerton Man is more than a solved mystery. He is a case of partial resolution, where identification does not equal understanding. He has a name, but the reasons behind his choices remain hidden. His death is recorded, but not explained. The scene at Somerton Beach still exists, a quiet stretch of sand, where a man once died, with only fragments of explanation left behind. Visitors may walk past, unaware of the events of that night, or the decades of uncertainty that followed. The Somerton Man illustrates a reality about some mysteries. They cannot always be solved. They can only be documented, analyzed, and remembered, even in the presence of names, relatives, and modern science. For Carl Webb, the identity revealed in 2022 is only a beginning. It explains who he was, but not why, and not how. The story ends without resolution, leaving only questions and the enduring puzzle of Somerton Beach. Some mysteries do not conclude. They persist as puzzles, as warnings, as enigmas. And the Somerton Man is one of the clearest examples. A life and death that can be documented, but not fully understood.